In a distant corner of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful telescopes, there existed a civilization known as the Zorathians. They were an ancient and advanced species, their technology so far ahead of humanity's that they considered themselves gods among lesser beings. Their empire stretched across hundreds of star systems, each conquered with ruthless efficiency. To the Zorathians, weaker civilizations were nothing more than stepping stones, resources to be exploited and then discarded when no longer useful. For centuries, Earth had been under observation by these cosmic overlords. The Zorathians watched, from their cloaked ships as humanity stumbled through history, waging wars, polluting its planet, and failing to unite under a single banner. To them, humans were pitiful creatures, fragile, divided, and utterly unworthy of respect. "Look at them," Commander Vorthak sneered during one of his routine surveillance sessions aboard the massive mothership Shadowfang. "They squabble over meaningless borders while their planet chokes on its own filth. It's almost amusing how primitive they are." Vorthak was a towering figure among his kind, with sleek metallic armor that reflected light in eerie patterns. His reputation as a conqueror was legendary. He had led countless campaigns, reducing entire planets to ash without hesitation. To him, Earth was just another target, a low-hanging fruit waiting to be plucked. He didn't even bother consulting his advisors before giving the order to prepare for invasion. After all, what resistance could such pathetic beings possibly offer? As the Shadowfang descended into orbit around Earth, invisible to human radar systems, the Zorathians couldn't help but laugh at what they saw below. Cities sprawled chaotically across continents, highways clogged with vehicles spewing smoke into the atmosphere, and endless conflicts raging between nations. Onboard monitors displayed images of protests, riots, and environmental disasters, all evidence in their eyes of humanity's inherent weakness. "This will be easier than exterminating vermin," muttered one officer, earning approving nods from others in the briefing room. But despite their mockery, not everything about Earth escaped notice. Some Zorathian scientists found themselves intrigued by certain anomalies. For instance, why did some regions of the planet show signs of rapid technological advancement, while others lagged behind? And what about those strange energy readings emanating from remote locations deep within Earth's deserts, mountains, and oceans? These questions lingered in the back of a few minds, though most dismissed them as irrelevant. Surely, whatever secrets Earth held would crumble beneath the might of the Zorathian fleet. Meanwhile, on Earth, life went on as usual. People woke up, went to work, argued over politics, and scrolled endlessly through social media feeds. No one suspected that high above their heads an alien armada loomed, preparing to strike. Governments remained oblivious, preoccupied with internal struggles and petty rivalries. Even astronomers scanning the skies failed to detect the shadowy presence of the Shadowfang and its accompanying fleet. Humanity was blissfully unaware of the storm gathering above, yet unknown to both the Zorathians and the majority of humanity itself, Earth harbored secrets far deeper than anyone imagined. Beneath layers of deception and secrecy lay something extraordinary, a coalition of nations that had quietly prepared for this moment over decades. Hidden underground bunkers housed cutting-edge weaponry, quantum computers capable of deciphering alien languages, and fleets of starships waiting patiently for deployment. These preparations had been shrouded in absolute confidentiality, known only to a select few individuals scattered across the globe. The origins of this clandestine effort traced back to the mid-20th century, when fragments of extraterrestrial technology were discovered in isolated incidents around the world. At first, governments treated these findings as top-secret projects, fearing public panic if word got out. But as more artifacts surfaced and whispers of alien activity grew louder, a small group of visionary leaders decided to take action. They formed an alliance unlike any other, transcending political divides and national interests. Their goal was simple yet monumental: ensure humanity's survival against potential threats from beyond the stars. Over the years, this secret organization, codenamed Project Ascension, amassed resources and knowledge at an astonishing rate. Brilliant minds from every field collaborated tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of science and engineering, Breakthroughs came thick and fast. Fusion reactors powered cities hidden underground. Artificial intelligence predicted enemy strategies with uncanny accuracy, and experimental spacecraft soared silently through Earth's atmosphere during test flights conducted under cover of darkness. Despite these incredible achievements, Project Ascension remained cloaked in mystery. Most world leaders had no idea it even existed, let alone understood the full extent of its capabilities. Those who did know were sworn to secrecy, bound by oaths and fears of global destabilization should the truth ever come to light. Even ordinary citizens living near classified facilities caught only fleeting glimpses of unusual activity. Strange lights in the sky, convoys of unmarked trucks disappearing into mountainsides, or sudden evacuations of entire towns without explanation. 2. The Zorathians watching from above, none of this was visible. Their sensors detected nothing unusual, reinforcing their belief that humanity posed no real threat. They laughed at the apparent chaos below, dismissing it as proof of Earth's inferiority. What they failed to realize was that appearances can be deceiving, and sometimes the quietest storms brew the fiercest winds. Back aboard the Shadowfang, final preparations for the invasion were underway. Troops armed with plasma rifles stood ready in hangar bays, awaiting orders to deploy. Massive cannons charged with energy capable of leveling cities hummed softly, primed to unleash destruction upon command. Vorthak paced the bridge, his confidence unshaken. "Earth will fall within hours," he declared, addressing his crew. "Their feeble attempts at resistance will be crushed like insects beneath our boots." Little did he know, the tables were about to turn in ways he could never have anticipated. As the countdown to invasion began, clouds above Earth started shifting unnaturally. Skies cleared in patches, revealing not the usual blue expanse but rows upon rows of gleaming star destroyers hovering silently in formation. Each vessel bristled with weapon systems unlike anything the invaders had encountered before. Panic spread through the ranks of the Zorathians as realization dawned. They weren't dealing with primitives anymore. Commander Vorthak froze in disbelief as he stared at the monitors displaying the unfolding scene. His mind raced with questions. How had these humans managed to build such power? Why hadn't his intelligence detected any signs of this development? But there was no time for answers now. One of the human star destroyers locked onto his flagship, broadcasting a message directly into his command chamber. A calm, authoritative voice spoke in perfect Zorathian. "You underestimated us. Now you pay the price." With those chilling words, beams of energy erupted from the human fleet, tearing through the alien ships like paper. The battle unfolded swiftly and decisively. The Zorathians, caught completely off guard, scrambled to mount a defense, but it was futile. Human pilots maneuvered their starfighters with precision, honed through years of simulation training, targeting weak points in the alien vessels' armor. Ground-based installations fired missiles tipped with experimental warheads, designed specifically to disrupt Zorathian shielding technology. Within minutes, the once mighty armada was reduced to smoldering wreckage drifting aimlessly in space. As the dust settled, Commander Vorthak could only watch in horror as his dreams of conquest turned to ashes. His flagship listed precariously, systems failing one by one. Desperation clawed at him as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. Humanity wasn't weak. It had simply been playing the long game, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now, the aliens who had laughed at Earth's supposed feebleness were the ones facing annihilation. News of the victory spread across Earth like wildfire. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of standing equal or superior to extraterrestrial life forms. Now, against all odds, they had achieved just that. Celebrations erupted worldwide as people poured into streets, waving flags and cheering for unity they never thought possible. Governments released statements acknowledging the covert program responsible for humanity's triumph, earning both admiration and criticism. Some argued transparency should have come sooner. Others praised the secrecy for saving billions of lives. Regardless of opinions, one thing became clear. Earth was no longer vulnerable prey in the cosmic jungle. And so the story of humanity's Defiance against the Zorathians marked a turning point, not just for Earth but for the entire galaxy. From this day forward, the name human would carry weight among the stars, spoken with respect, or fear, by those who dared underestimate them again. The Zorathian fleet, once a symbol of invincibility, now found itself in disarray. The initial strike from Earth's hidden star destroyers had been devastating, catching the invaders completely off guard. Plasma beams tore through their ships, with terrifying precision, while smaller human fighters darted between the larger alien vessels, targeting weak points and exploiting vulnerabilities that the Zorathians never imagined could exist. Commander Vorthak stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship, Shadowfang, as monitors displayed the horrifying reality unfolding before him. His mighty armada was crumbling like sandcastles under a tidal wave. Retreat. Form defensive positions. Vorthak barked, his voice cracking under the weight of panic, but it was already too late. Orders were relayed to the remaining ships, but chaos reigned supreme. Pilots scrambled to evade incoming fire, only to find themselves boxed in by human squadrons executing maneuvers so advanced they seemed almost choreographed. The humans weren't just fighting. They were outthinking the Zorathians at every turn. It was as if they had studied their enemy for years, anticipating every move and countering with ruthless efficiency. On board one of the fleeing Zorathian cruisers, Lieutenant Kralok stared out of the viewport in disbelief. He had joined the Empire with dreams of glory, believing himself part of an unstoppable force destined to dominate the galaxy. Now all he felt was shame and fear. "How is this possible?" he muttered to no one in particular. His comrades offered no answers, their faces pale with terror as explosions lit up the darkness outside. The human fleet showed no mercy, systematically dismantling what remained of the Zorathian forces. One by one, ships exploded into fiery clouds of debris, their crews lost forever in the cold void of space. Back aboard the Shadowfang, Vorthak tried desperately to rally his troops. "We are Zorathians!" he roared, slamming his fist against the command console. "We do not falter. We adapt and overcome." But even his bravado couldn't mask the desperation in his eyes. For the first time in centuries, the Zorathian Empire faced an opponent it couldn't simply overwhelm with brute force or superior numbers. Humanity's strategy was unlike anything they'd encountered before, a perfect blend of technology, teamwork, and sheer audacity. Every attempt to counterattack was met with swift retaliation, leaving the invaders with fewer options by the second. As the battle raged on, something unexpected began to happen among the human ranks. Communication channels buzzed not only with tactical updates but also with messages of hope and unity. Pilots exchanged words of encouragement over secure lines, reminding each other why they fought, not just for survival, but for the future of their species. Back on Earth, people huddled around screens in homes, offices, and public squares, watching live feeds of the conflict. Though many didn't fully understand the mechanics of the battle, they felt its significance deep in their bones. This wasn't just a fight. It was a statement, a declaration to the universe that humanity would no longer cower in fear. In one particularly dramatic moment, a squadron of human fighters led by Captain Elena Morales executed a daring maneuver that became legendary overnight. Spotting a gap in the Zorathian formation, Morales ordered her team to dive straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. "Hold steady," she said calmly over the comms, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Trust me." Her pilots obeyed without hesitation, weaving through a barrage of laser fire with breathtaking precision. When they emerged on the other side, they unleashed a concentrated volley of missiles that crippled 3 Zorathian destroyers simultaneously. Cheers erupted across the human fleet, and Morales' name quickly became synonymous with courage and skill. Meanwhile, on Earth, scientists worked feverishly to support the war effort. Deep within underground bunkers, engineers monitored the performance of experimental weapon systems, tweaking algorithms and recalibrating targeting mechanisms based on real-time data streaming from the battlefield. Quantum computers processed information at speeds unimaginable to earlier generations, predicting Zorathian movements and suggesting optimal countermeasures. At the same time, linguists decoded intercepted transmissions, piecing together fragments of the alien language to gain insight into their enemy's mindset. The collaboration between disciplines was seamless, a testament to decades of preparation and trust built within Project Ascension. As the hours passed, the tide of the battle shifted decisively in humanity's favor. The Zorathians, who had entered Earth's orbit with arrogance and contempt, now fought merely to survive. Their once imposing fleet had been reduced to a handful of battered ships limping toward the edge of the solar system. Vorthak, realizing the futility of further resistance, gave the order to retreat. "Fall back to Sector 12, he commanded, his voice heavy with defeat. "Regroup and reassess." But even as the remnants of his forces fled, he knew the damage was done. The Zorathian Empire's reputation, the very foundation of its dominance, had been shattered. For the humans, victory tasted both sweet and bitter. Sweet because they had proven themselves capable of defending their planet against seemingly insurmountable odds. Bitter because the cost of triumph was high. Dozens of starships lay destroyed, their brave crews lost in the vastness of space. Families mourned loved ones who had given everything to protect Earth. Yet amidst the sorrow, there was pride, a collective sense of accomplishment that transcended borders, cultures, and ideologies. For the first time in history, humanity truly stood united. News of the victory spread rapidly, igniting celebrations across the globe. Fireworks lit up night skies, music blared from speakers, and strangers embraced in the streets. Social media platforms were flooded with messages of gratitude and awe, as well as calls for transparency regarding Project Ascension. Who authorized this? Why weren't we told sooner? Demanded some critics, questioning the ethics of keeping such a monumental secret. Others defended the decision, arguing that secrecy had been necessary to prevent panic and ensure success. Debates raged endlessly, reflecting humanity's eternal struggle to balance freedom with security. But beyond Earth's atmosphere, the implications of the battle rippled outward, reaching far corners of the galaxy. Word of humanity's defiance traveled fast, carried by fleeing Zorathian survivors and intercepted communications. Alien civilizations that had long dismissed Earth as irrelevant now regarded it with newfound respect, or outright dread. Rumors circulated about Earth's mysterious benefactors or ancient technologies rediscovered by humans. Some speculated that humanity might have allies among older, more powerful species. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. Earth had earned itself a reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For the Zorathians, the defeat was catastrophic. Survivors regrouped in distant sectors of space, nursing wounds both physical and psychological. Many questioned whether their empire could recover from such a blow. Others vowed revenge, swearing to return stronger and more prepared. Among them was Commander Vorthak, whose pride had been shattered along with his fleet. Sitting alone in his quarters aboard a damaged cruiser, he replayed the events of the battle in his mind, searching for answers. How had humanity managed to build such power? What weaknesses had he overlooked? And most importantly, how could he reclaim the honor of his people? Back on Earth, leaders grappled with the aftermath of the victory. Governments convened emergency meetings to discuss next steps. Should they pursue aggressive expansion into space, establishing colonies and asserting dominance, or focus inward, strengthening Earth's defenses while fostering peace among nations? These questions sparked heated debates, reflecting humanity's eternal tension between ambition and caution. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens marveled at the sudden unveiling of their hidden arsenal. Questions abounded. Who else knew about Project Ascension? What other secrets lay buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and secrecy? The revelation forced humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about itself and its place in the cosmos. Despite the uncertainty ahead, one fact remained undeniable. Earth had proven itself capable of defending its own. No longer did humans look skyward with fear or awe alone. They looked up with pride and determination. The same fragile planet that once seemed doomed to extinction now stood tall among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. From this day forward, Earth would no longer cower before the unknown. It would meet it head-on, armed with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable belief that together, anything was possible. Aliens may have laughed at humanity's weakness once, but they lived to regret it. And as the smoke cleared from the battlefield, humanity took its first steps toward a new era, an era where Earth was no longer prey, but predator. The aftermath of the battle left Earth in a state of awe and reflection. The skies above, once filled with the chaos of war, now shimmered with an eerie calm. Debris from destroyed Zorathian ships floated silently in orbit, a grim reminder of the conflict that had unfolded. For humanity, this moment was not just about victory, it was about transformation. The world woke up to the realization that they were no longer alone in the universe, and more importantly, they were no longer helpless. In the days following the battle, global leaders gathered in emergency summits to address the monumental shift in Earth status. The United Nations convened an unprecedented assembly, bringing together representatives from every nation. At the center of the discussions was Project Ascension, the clandestine program that had saved humanity from annihilation. For decades it had operated in secrecy, funded by governments, private entities, and even wealthy philanthropists who believed in preparing for the unknown. Now its existence was public knowledge, sparking both admiration and outrage. "This changes everything," declared President Elena Vasquez of the Global Security Council during one of the sessions. Her voice carried a mix of pride and apprehension as she addressed the delegates. "We have shown the galaxy that we are not weak, not divided, and not afraid to defend ourselves. But with this power comes responsibility. How do we move forward? Do we seek peace or do we prepare for further conflict?" The room erupted into heated debates. Some argued that humanity should take an aggressive stance, using its newfound strength to establish dominance beyond Earth. They pointed to the vast resources available on other planets and moons, urging exploration and colonization. Others advocated for caution, warning against repeating the mistakes of history, conquest leading to destruction. A small faction even suggested dismantling the fleet entirely, fearing that possessing such immense power might corrupt humanity itself. Amidst these discussions, ordinary citizens grappled with their own emotions. Social media buzzed with theories, opinions, and questions. Who built those starships? Where did they come from? People asked. Conspiracy theorists speculated about ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial benefactors, while skeptics demanded transparency from their governments. Protests erupted in major cities, some celebrating humanity's triumph, others demanding accountability for decades of secrecy. One particularly vocal group called themselves the Truth Seekers. Led by investigative journalist Marcus Kane, they organized rallies calling for full disclosure about Project Ascension. "They kept us in the dark while building weapons capable of wiping out entire species," Kane said during a televised interview. "What else are they hiding? Who gave them the right to decide our fate without telling us?" Despite the controversy, there was undeniable pride swelling across the planet. Humanity had faced what seemed like certain doom and emerged victorious. Stories of bravery spread like wildfire. Captain Elena Morales' daring maneuver became legendary, inspiring murals and songs. Children played games pretending to be pilots defending Earth. Even those who criticized the secrecy couldn't deny the sense of unity the victory had sparked. A rare moment when borders seemed irrelevant, and humanity stood as one. Meanwhile, deep within underground facilities, scientists and engineers continued their work. Though the immediate threat had passed, they knew better than to let their guard down. Teams analyzed data collected during the battle, studying Zorathian technology recovered from wreckage. Quantum computers processed information at lightning speed, searching for weaknesses and potential countermeasures. Every piece of alien tech was meticulously examined, reverse-engineered, and adapted for human use. It was clear that the Zorathians weren't the only advanced species out there, and humanity needed to stay ahead of whatever threats might emerge next. At the same time, linguists worked tirelessly to decode intercepted Zorathian transmissions. Fragments of their language revealed chilling insights into their mindset. They viewed us as vermin, reported Dr. Priya Patel, head of the Xenolinguistics department. Their records describe Earth as a resource-rich but primitive target. They never considered us capable of resistance. This revelation sent shivers down spines worldwide. If the Zorathians had underestimated humanity so severely, what about other alien civilizations? Were there others watching and planning? As weeks turned into months, Earth began to adapt to its new reality. Governments invested heavily in space programs, launching satellites and probes to monitor nearby star systems. Military academies introduced courses on interstellar warfare, training future generations to protect the planet. Schools revised curriculums to include lessons on astronomy, astrobiology, and the ethics of contact with extraterrestrial life. Humanity was stepping into uncharted territory, and everyone, from politicians to teachers to parents, felt the weight of responsibility. But not all changes were positive. The economic impact of revealing Project Ascension was staggering. Resources, diverted to the secret program over decades, had strained national budgets, leaving gaps in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Critics argued that the money could have been better spent solving problems on Earth rather than preparing for wars in space. Tensions flared between nations, especially those that felt excluded from decision-making processes. Some developing countries accused wealthier nations of prioritizing defense over humanitarian aid, widening existing divides. Internationally, relations grew complicated. Allies questioned why they hadn't been informed about Project Ascension sooner. Rivalries simmered beneath diplomatic pleasantries, with some nations accusing others of hoarding advanced technology. Yet, amidst the squabbles, cooperation also flourished. Joint research initiatives brought together scientists from rival states, fostering collaboration that transcended politics. Space stations designed for peaceful purposes were repurposed as monitoring hubs, staffed by multinational crews working side by side. Beyond Earth, the ripple effects of the battle reached far corners of the galaxy. News of humanity's defiance spread through alien networks, sparking fear and intrigue alike. Civilizations that had dismissed Earth as insignificant now regarded it with cautious respect or outright dread. Trade routes shifted as species avoided sectors near Sol, wary of encountering the unpredictable humans. Rumors circulated about Earth's mysterious benefactors or ancient technologies rediscovered by humanity. Some speculated that humanity might have allies among older, more powerful species. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. Earth had earned itself a reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For the Zorathians, the defeat was catastrophic. Survivors regrouped in distant sectors of space, nursing wounds both physical and psychological. Many questioned whether their empire could recover from such a blow. Others vowed revenge, swearing to return stronger and more prepared. Among them was Commander Vorthak, whose pride had been shattered along with his fleet. Sitting, alone in his quarters aboard a damaged cruiser, he replayed the events of the battle in his mind, searching for answers. How had humanity managed to build such power? What weaknesses had he overlooked? And most importantly, how could he reclaim the honor of his people? Back on Earth, leaders grappled with the aftermath of the victory. Governments convened emergency meetings to discuss next steps. Should they pursue aggressive expansion into space, establishing colonies and asserting dominance, or focus inward, strengthening Earth's defenses while fostering peace among nations? These questions sparked heated debates, reflecting humanity's eternal tension between ambition and caution. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens marveled at the sudden unveiling of their hidden arsenal. Questions abounded. Who else knew about Project Ascension? What other secrets lay buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and secrecy? The revelation forced humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about itself and its place in the cosmos. Despite the uncertainty ahead, one fact remained undeniable. Earth had proven itself capable of defending its own. No longer did humans look skyward with fear or awe alone. They looked up with pride and determination. The same fragile planet that once seemed doomed to extinction now stood tall among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. From this day forward, Earth would no longer cower before the unknown. It would meet it head-on, armed with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable belief that together, anything was possible. Aliens may have laughed at humanity's weakness once, but they lived to regret it. And as the smoke cleared from the battlefield, humanity took its first steps toward a new era, an era where Earth was no longer prey, but predator. The months following the battle saw humanity grappling with its newfound identity. Earth, once a quiet and seemingly insignificant planet in the vastness of space, now stood as a beacon of defiance and resilience. The victory over the Zorathians had changed everything, not just for humanity's place in the cosmos, but for the way humans viewed themselves. For the first time, they were no longer passive observers of the universe. They were active participants, ready to shape their destiny. Among the stars, yet this transition was far from smooth. The revelation of Project Ascension had torn open old wounds and created new ones. Governments faced intense scrutiny from their citizens, who demanded answers about decades of secrecy. Protests erupted worldwide, with people holding placards that read, "Who speaks for humanity?" and "Transparency now." Conspiracy theories ran rampant, fueled by social media algorithms that amplified fear and distrust. Some claimed the entire battle had been staged to justify military spending, while others insisted Earth's fleet had been gifted by benevolent extraterrestrials. Amidst the chaos, one question loomed large. What did it mean to be human in an age where interstellar warfare was possible? In response to growing unrest, world leaders convened what became known as the Global Unity Summit. Held in Geneva, Switzerland, the event brought together representatives from every nation along with scientists, philosophers, and even ordinary citizens selected through a lottery system. The goal was ambitious: to chart a course for humanity's future in space while addressing the ethical dilemmas posed by its newfound power. It was here that the phrase "unity through adversity" gained traction, becoming a rallying cry for those who believed Earth's survival depended on cooperation rather than division. President Elena Vasquez opened the summit with a stirring speech. Standing before a massive audience, she spoke not just as a leader, but as a mother concerned for her children's future. "We have proven that we can defend ourselves," she said, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "But defense is not enough. We must ask ourselves, who do we want to be? Do we seek conquest or do we strive for peace? Do we expand our reach into the stars with greed or with wisdom? This is our moment to decide, not just for us, but for generations to come." Her words resonated deeply, sparking both hope and debate. Over the next several weeks, delegates engaged in heated discussions about humanity's role in the galaxy. One faction, led by nations with strong militaries, argued for aggressive expansion. They proposed establishing colonies on nearby planets and moons, securing resources to ensure Earth's long-term survival. Another group, composed largely of smaller countries and environmental activists, urged caution. They warned against repeating humanity's mistakes, exploiting resources until ecosystems collapsed, and called for sustainable exploration instead. The heart of these debates lay a fundamental question: could humanity trust itself with such immense power? History offered little reassurance. Wars, oppression, and environmental destruction painted a grim picture of how humans treated each other and their own planet. Critics pointed out that if humanity couldn't solve problems like poverty and climate change on Earth, how could it responsibly manage expansion into space? Others countered that the stakes were too high to stay grounded. If Earth didn't act boldly, they argued, another alien empire might exploit its hesitation and strike when humanity least expected it. While politicians debated, scientists worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Underground facilities buzzed with activity as researchers analyzed data collected during the battle. Every fragment of Zorathian technology recovered from orbit was meticulously studied, offering glimpses into advanced engineering far beyond anything humanity had achieved independently. One breakthrough came when Dr. Priya Patel's team deciphered a key component of Zorathian shielding systems. By reverse engineering the technology, they developed a prototype capable of protecting entire cities from orbital bombardment. Dubbed the Aegis Shield, it became a symbol of humanity's ingenuity, but also raised concerns about weaponizing alien tech. Meanwhile, linguists continued decoding intercepted transmissions, piecing together fragments of the Zorathian language. Their findings painted a chilling portrait of the invaders' mindset. Records revealed that the Zorathians viewed weaker civilizations as expendable, treating them as little more than stepping stones on their path to galactic domination. One document described Earth as a quarry ripe for harvesting, dismissing humanity as unworthy of consideration. These revelations reinforced the urgency of staying vigilant and preparing for potential retaliation. As Earth adapted to its new reality, cultural shifts began to take root. Art, literature, and music reflected humanity's transformation. Movies depicted heroic pilots battling alien invaders, while books explored philosophical questions about humanity's place in the universe. Museums hosted exhibits showcasing recovered Zorathian artifacts alongside human innovations, drawing record crowds eager to understand the conflict that had reshaped their world. Even fashion evolved, with designers incorporating elements inspired by starship designs and alien aesthetics into clothing lines. Education systems underwent significant changes as well. Schools introduced courses on astronomy, astrobiology, and interstellar diplomacy, preparing students for careers in fields previously considered science fiction. Universities launched programs focused on xenotechnology, attracting brilliant minds from around the globe. Young people, inspired by stories of bravery and ingenuity, dreamed of joining Earth's fleet or contributing to scientific advancements. For the first time, humanity's youth looked skyward not with fear but with ambition. But progress wasn't without its challenges. Economic disparities widened as governments poured funding into space programs at the expense of domestic needs. Critics accused wealthy nations of prioritizing defense over development, leaving poorer countries struggling to recover from years of neglect. Social unrest grew, with protests erupting in cities across the globe. Activists demanded accountability, calling for equitable distribution of resources and greater transparency in decision-making processes. Amidst these tensions, international relations grew increasingly complex. While some nations strengthened alliances, others retreated into isolationism, wary of sharing technological advancements. Trade agreements faltered as suspicions mounted, and espionage attempts targeting Project Ascension facilities became alarmingly frequent. Yet, amidst the discord, moments of unity emerged. Joint research initiatives brought together scientists from rival states, fostering collaboration that transcended politics. Space stations designed for peaceful purposes were repurposed as monitoring hubs, staffed by multinational crews working side by side. Beyond Earth, the ripple effects of the battle reached far corners of the galaxy. News of humanity's defiance spread through alien networks, sparking fear and intrigue alike. Civilizations that had dismissed Earth as insignificant now regarded it with cautious respect or outright dread. Trade routes shifted as species avoided sectors near Sol, wary of encountering the unpredictable humans. Rumors circulated about Earth's mysterious benefactors or ancient technologies rediscovered by humanity. Some speculated that humanity might have allies among older, more powerful species. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. Earth had earned itself a reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For the Zorathians, the defeat was catastrophic. Survivors regrouped in distant sectors of space, nursing wounds both physical and psychological. Many questioned whether their empire could recover from such a blow. Others vowed revenge, swearing to return stronger and more prepared. Among them was Commander Vorthak, whose pride had been shattered along with his fleet. Sitting alone in his quarters aboard a damaged cruiser, he replayed the events of the battle in his mind, searching for answers. How had humanity managed to build such power? What weaknesses had he overlooked? And most importantly, how could he reclaim the honor of his people? Back on Earth, Leaders grappled with the aftermath of the victory. Governments convened emergency meetings to discuss next steps. Should they pursue aggressive expansion into space, establishing colonies and asserting dominance? Or focus inward, strengthening Earth's defenses while fostering peace among nations? These questions sparked heated debates reflecting humanity's eternal tension between ambition and caution. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens marveled at the sudden unveiling of their hidden arsenal. Questions abounded. Who else knew about Project EA? Ascension? What other secrets lay buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and secrecy? The revelation forced humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about itself and its place in the cosmos. Despite the uncertainty ahead, one fact remained undeniable. Earth had proven itself capable of defending its own. No longer did humans look skyward with fear or awe alone. They looked up with pride and determination. The same fragile planet that once seemed doomed to extinction now stood tall among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. From this day forward, Earth would no longer cower before the unknown. It would meet it head-on, armed with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable belief that together, anything was possible. Aliens may have laughed at humanity's weakness once, but they lived to regret it. And as the smoke cleared from the battlefield, as the dust settled from the battle and the debates at the Global Unity Summit continued, humanity found itself standing at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming months would define not just Earth's future, but its very soul. Would they choose aggression or diplomacy, expansion or conservation? The answers to these questions were far from simple, and the stakes were higher than ever before. In the wake of the Zorathian defeat, Earth's leaders began implementing policies aimed at securing humanity's place among the stars. The United Nations established the Interstellar Defense Council, IDC, a coalition tasked with overseeing Earth's fleet, monitoring alien activity, and spearheading diplomatic efforts with extraterrestrial civilizations. This marked a historic shift. Earth was no longer acting as individual nations but as a unified species. For many, this was a hopeful sign that humanity could rise above its divisions when faced with a common goal. One of the IDC's first priorities was establishing communication protocols for potential contact with other alien species. Dr. Priya Patel, now a leading figure in xenolinguistics, led a team developing universal symbols and gestures designed to convey peaceful intentions. "We've already seen what happens when misunderstandings occur," she said during a press conference. "Our next encounter doesn't have to end in violence. If we approach others with respect and curiosity, perhaps we can build bridges instead of walls." But not everyone shared her optimism. Military strategists argued that peace couldn't be guaranteed without strength to back it up. Admiral Marcus Chen, commander of Earth's fleet, emphasized the importance of maintaining a robust defense system. "Diplomacy is meaningless if you don't have the power to enforce it," stated bluntly. Under his leadership, new starships were constructed, equipped with advanced weaponry derived from reverse-engineered Zorathian tech. Training programs intensified, preparing pilots and ground forces for scenarios ranging from reconnaissance missions to full-scale warfare. Meanwhile, humanity turned its attention outward. Probes launched into deep space carried messages of goodwill alongside scientific data about Earth. These robotic ambassadors were humanity's way of saying, "We are here, and we want to learn." Scientists monitored their progress eagerly, hoping for any sign of response, a signal, a transmission, even an acknowledgement of existence. But the silence of the cosmos remained deafening. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal, or at least as normal as it could be after such monumental events. People adapted to the idea that aliens existed and that humanity was capable of defending itself. Movies, books, and TV shows reflected this new reality, blending science fiction with current affairs. Blockbuster films depicted heroic pilots battling alien invaders, while documentaries explored the ethics of interstellar exploration. Pop culture became a mirror reflecting humanity's hopes, fears, and aspirations. Education systems evolved further, incorporating lessons on interstellar diplomacy, and the responsibility of wielding great power. Schools encourage students to think critically about humanity's role in the universe, asking questions like, what does it mean to be stewards of Earth and potentially other worlds? How do we balance ambition with morality? Young people responded, enthusiastically, dreaming of careers in astrophysics, engineering, and diplomacy. For the first time, the stars didn't seem so distant. They felt within reach. Yet, challenges persisted. Economic inequality worsened as resources were funneled into space programs and defense initiatives. Critics accused governments of neglecting pressing issues like poverty, healthcare, and climate change in favor of chasing cosmic dreams. Activist groups organized protests under banners reading, "Fix Earth First" and "No Stars Without." Justice. Their arguments gained traction, forcing policymakers to reconsider their priorities. In response, some nations pledged funds to address domestic problems while continuing space-related projects, though progress was slow and uneven. Internationally, tensions flared as rivalries resurfaced. Espionage attempts targeting Project Ascension facilities increased, with intelligence agencies uncovering plots by rogue states seeking to steal classified technology. Sabotage incidents occurred sporadically, reminding everyone that unity was fragile and trust easily broken. Yet amidst the discord, moments of cooperation emerged. Joint research initiatives brought together scientists from competing nations, fostering collaboration that transcended politics. Space stations once intended for military purposes were repurposed as hubs for peaceful exploration, staffed by multinational crews working side by side. Beyond Earth, rumors of humanity's defiance spread throughout the galaxy. Alien civilizations reacted in varied ways. Some sent cautious inquiries, probing Earth's intentions. Others avoided Sol altogether, wary of encountering the unpredictable humans who had humbled the mighty Zorathians. Trade routes shifted as merchants steered clear of sectors near Earth, fearing conflict. Speculation ran rampant about Earth's mysterious benefactors or ancient technologies rediscovered by humanity. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. Earth had earned itself a reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For the surviving Zorathians, the defeat lingered like a scar. Commander Vorthak, exiled from his command after the catastrophic loss, retreated to a remote outpost on the edge of the Empire. He spent his days poring over battle records, analyzing every decision, every miscalculation. His obsession bordered on madness, but he refused to give up. "They won because we underestimated them," he muttered to himself late at night. "Next time will be different." Vorthak wasn't alone in his determination. Within the Zorathian Empire, whispers of revenge grew louder. Some factions advocated for rebuilding the fleet and launching another assault on Earth. Others suggested more subtle tactics, spreading misinformation, sowing discord among human nations, or infiltrating Earth's defenses. The Empire may have been wounded, but it was far from defeated. Revenge simmered beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to strike. Back on Earth, humanity prepared for whatever came next. Underground bunkers housing advanced weaponry stood ready. Quantum computers monitored alien activity, and fleets of starships patrolled the skies. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve existing technology and develop new innovations. Engineers designed habitats capable of sustaining life on Mars and beyond, laying the groundwork for humanity's expansion into the solar system. At the same time, philosophers and ethicists grappled with profound questions. What responsibilities came with wielding such immense power? How should humanity treat other civilizations it encountered? Could they avoid repeating the mistakes of history? Greed, exploitation, and destruction? These debates raged endlessly, reflecting humanity's eternal struggle to balance ambition with morality. Despite the uncertainty ahead, one fact remained undeniable. Earth had proven itself capable of defending its own. No longer did humans look skyward with fear or awe alone. They looked up with pride and determination. The same fragile planet that once seemed doomed to extinction now stood tall among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. From this day forward, Earth would no longer cower before the unknown. It would meet it head-on, armed with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable belief that together, anything was possible. Aliens may have laughed at humanity's weakness once, but they lived to regret it. And as the smoke cleared from the battlefield, humanity took its first steps toward a new era. An era where Earth was no longer prey, but predator. The journey ahead would be fraught with risks and uncertainties, but for the first time in history, humanity faced the cosmos not as victims but as equals. The stars beckoned and Earth answered, not with fear but with hope.